You can pretty much fly a drone everywhere except for military bases and airports, right? And you're trying to fly a drone to Secret Mountain, it will hit a certain boundary and the GPS will show up on the screen, military base or airport, and the drone will return home. And then 4 or 5 days later, he appears. And he's been telling the story for like 40 years now, the same exact story. And he talks about, like, part of the abduction, he thought he was dying after getting hit by this beam, and he's like, they fixed it. And then the other side of it is, they call it donations. These are perfectly intact ships that were given to us, and they were given to us so we could apparently reverse engineer them and start working. And apparently that's how LED lights and fiber optics and all these other things came from it.
Okay, well, we're so happy to be doing this with you. We'd like to introduce our audience to Elliot. He is the founder of an amazing male deodorant company. It's clean, aluminum-free, smells incredible. My husband and son have both been using it, and actually, I have to say, my husband has really expensive cologne. He uses the Louis Vuitton. He has not been wearing it because he just uses this, and he smells so good. So that's a big testament. So like he's saving his cologne because he just smells amazing with this. So we've been loving it.
It smells amazing.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. So if you want to introduce yourself to the audience and tell them more about who you are and why you started this, we'd love to hear your story. And we'll start off with that. Yeah.
It's good to see you.
You too.
So my name's Elliot Greenberg. I'm the CEO and founder of Masculinity. We are a men's care company that focuses on healthy, natural ingredients. Right now, we have a natural deodorant for men, and we are working on natural body wash, bar soaps, shampoo, conditioner, an entire line of men's stuff. And then eventually down the road, we'll make a women's line because we have a ton of requests for those products as well. But our focus is creating healthy products for men that they're proud to wear. All of our products are made in America. All of our products are shipped out of America. So we are all about supporting American jobs, American manufacturing. When it comes to our actual products itself, one, we created a natural deodorant that actually works. Most of them only last a couple of hours. So the entire brand was just built out of sheer frustration with products that are currently on the market. Additionally, we did not want products that smells like tree or grass or some of the hippie fragrances that are out there. So all of our fragrances are different men's colognes that we reverse engineered and injected them into the deodorant itself. So not only does the product last the entire day, but they smell fantastic. They're aluminum free. There's nothing in them that messes with your endocrine system, which affects testosterone levels and other things like that. And it's a great working product, and we appreciate the support. And I appreciate you having me on your show, sharing with the audience.
Awesome. Wonderful. Yeah, well, we love everything you stand for. I was just thinking, as you were saying, how it doesn't mess with testosterone. I feel like if we got every man in America on this, it might solve a lot of our problems.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. And then as a conspiracy podcast, we talked beforehand. We definitely want to dive into some fun conspiracy topics like UFOs and aliens as well.
I'm game.
Okay, cool. We actually just last night, we watched a documentary together called Extraordinary the Seeding. And it follows multiple people that claim to have been abducted multiple times. It's a thing that happens throughout their life. And they're being taken into these ships in labs and used for a hybridization breeding program. So you're naughty. You know this. Okay, cool.
Yes, I am an insane, huge UFO.
Yes.
with my father. We went to Sedona, Arizona for a UFO tour.
No way.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. They bring you up. You go into the top, the highest mountain in Sedona. You camp out with a handful of other people. They give you military grade night vision goggles. You lay back on, a camper. They have green lasers that they're sharing, and you're just watching the sky together as a group. And
Wow.
you, within a very short period of time after the sun goes down, you start seeing things that are very unusual.
Wow.
Very unusual.
That's incredible. So on the night vision, is it the green colored night vision goggles?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about when they used to be red colored? And during the Vietnam War, they were using red colored night vision goggles. And what was happening is the soldiers were seeing entities. So they were seeing dimensionally and they were shooting at things that weren't there. So then they switched it all to green. Have you heard that before?
No, but I have heard something about, I forget where I heard that. It was definitely on a UFO podcast. Or it was, no, it wasn't. It was on a DMT podcast. So Sean Ryan just had some guy on that talks about doing DMT, and you can see entities, and he looks through lasers. And
Yes.
you can see the matrix go.
Yes.
Amazing interview. Anyways, he talks about how the red laser, because they tried it with all different colors, the red is the easiest to be able to see the different entities and the code and this and this. And I don't remember exactly why, but there was a specific reason that he laid out that the red is the one that they recommended.
There you go.
I wonder if it has to do with like it's the shortest color on the spectrum.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes. That's
interesting.
100% what it is.
Okay.
Wild.
Yeah.
Okay, so what sort of things did you see in Sedona in the night sky?
So you can clearly tell with the night vision goggles what is a plane and what is not a plane. You can clearly see satellites, and you can watch them slowly move across the horizon from one side to another, following a very specific path, right? And then you start seeing things that will appear out of nowhere. They will get really bright. They will tone down. They will disappear. You will see things that fly across the sky and then stop. You will see things that make hard left turns, hard right turns, 90-degree angle turns. While they're doing this, they are getting brighter. They're getting less bright. They're disappearing. They're reappearing. It's very weird. You'll see a lot of them all at the same time. So some of them will be coming in this way, and then you'll see other ones that are coming in other ways. And what's really challenging is you can't tell in the night sky how high they are, right? So you don't know if they're like as high as satellites. Like if they were tree level high, you would be able to tell. But these things are up in the night sky. It's not like are you too familiar with Chris Bledsoe?
No.
Chris Bledsoe is an experiencer. He was on a bunch of podcasts. He wrote a book called The UFO of God, and he sees orbs every single night. He was abducted about 20 years ago. He had a crazy experience. He was on, they did a really good episode of who he is on Beyond Skinwalker Ranch. And they do a deep dive. His entire family has been affected by this. And ridiculed and this and this. And anyways, so he, on his Instagram account, you can follow him and you can watch videos that he posts of orbs every single night because they come out for him. The U.S. government is studying him. NASA has studied him. NASA brings him to the facilities. That's like 20, 30 feet right above like the tree line, 50 feet away, like insane. Some of them are small, the size of a baseball. Some of them are 40 feet large.
Wow.
Things that I was seeing are up there, but I don't know how high, and I don't know how large they were. But it was incredible. Like I've told probably 30 people to go out there, and if they're into UFOs, and they've gone out into the night sky.
That's amazing.
They've come back and reported the same type of stuff.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, if we didn't have all this light pollution, It'd be so amazing to be able to see all this stuff every night because I know there's stuff happening over us constantly and we just don't see it. When I was a kid, I've told Callie this story. I was up in a small mountain town in Utah staying at a cabin, and I was probably like 12 years old, and we were sitting outside on the deck. It was night. I was in a hot tub with a couple of my cousins. We're just hanging out. And all of a sudden, and I would say about 30 feet above the tree line, it was very close, big green orb of light flew right over us, had a little bit of a light trail behind it. It went over the house and just, I don't know, maybe 500 yards down. It just went down below the trees, looked like it landed. And when it hit the ground, it created another big green light that illuminated from the ground, like it boom. And we all screamed. We jumped out of the hot tub. We ran inside. We told our parents. They said we probably just saw a shooting star. And we're like, no. Like it was like right there over our heads. And then recently, I was looking back into the Miami Mall incident. And then with that video, there was footage of a family. I think it was in Nevada. I don't know if you remember seeing this. And there was, so a family called 911 because there was an entity, some sort of alien creature in their yard. And there was a police officer that responded to this call. And he said he was actually out patrolling. And he saw this and caught it on his dash cam, a green orb of light that went like shot down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I saw when I was like 11, 12 years old. That was probably some sort of alien landing in the woods, where we were, which is just wild to think about. Like, oh, I got like chills when I saw it. I was like, that's what I saw. Yeah. Yeah.
All that stuff is crazy. I wish they had more footage from the Miami incident. But like, things that I watched of people describing that incident, it looks like the way that they described it was some kind of morphing, shape-shifting thing, which is super
very strange. It said it almost looked like digital.
The one in Vegas was like some 9-foot-tall entity, but it didn't have any of those features. I don't know if it was like a mantid or, one of these other type of, insectoids.
Yep. Because what are there, like 5 to 8 different types of aliens?
There are 10.
10.
I know that there's primarily, let's see, there's the small grays, the tall grays, the tall whites, the insectoids, there's the...
reptilian?
Oh, you said the mantis, yeah.
And I don't know what else. And then there's, and then people are talking about the plasma beams, which is a lot of the orbs are like they're plasma, right?
Yeah.
It looks like fire that's moving inside of, I don't know if there's like a physical thing inside of it or if it legit is just plasma. But it's weird.
It's very strange. And it's weird that it comes in different sizes, colors. What's really interesting, too, we do like to talk about Bigfoot now and again, and orbs and Bigfoot are seen a lot of times in the same place, and UFOs and Bigfoot are correlated as well.
Yes. I never thought that they were related, and I recently watched a guy that's been studying Bigfoot. He studies missing persons, and he studies UFOs, and he believes that they are all tied together.
That's what we've been hearing.
Until I watched that podcast, I never thought that there was any cross-pollination between the two.
I wonder what, if you listen to him, you would know his theory, but I think our theory is maybe it's because they're all interdimensional, so they're all coming through maybe different time, like portals somehow, like, because people will say they witness Bigfoot just fizzle out and disappear, so we're thinking maybe there's like some sort of portal situation where they're all coming in at the same time or around the same time, which is why we're seeing them together. Because I don't think Bigfoot's riding the UFOs. Do you?
That'd be cool if he was.
Maybe he's like Chewbacca and he's driving them. Maybe that's where Star Wars got the idea. A Bigfoot pilot.
Say more like a cat sitting on like your Roomba, like the vacuum cleaner.
Oh my gosh. That's funny. Yeah, and it's just so interesting. It's so interesting how like it all ties into so many other things.
Well, there was a guy whose name was like Henry. It's like Moon Henry, I think is his handle on Instagram. And he was like watching this recording of a video from like New Zealand. It was like a meteor is what they were saying. But he's like, we saw a UFO like riding right next to like the meteor. And he said when he zoomed in on it, he said it looked like it had the face of a lion. And Corey and I had talked about, like in the book of Ezekiel, it talks about how like the angels that he saw in his visions had a face of a lion, a face of a human, a face of an eagle, and a face of a bull. And I was like, what if like it all kind of just ties back to that like Genesis 6 conspiracy? Have you gone down that rabbit hole yet?
Kind of.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm very torn because if you go back a year or two, I only thought aliens were visitors from another planet. I never really did the whole interdimensional thing. I just thought that they had the ability to travel and fold space and time together to be able to move those great distances, right? Because, like, if you just think, what are we going to be able to do if we don't blow ourselves up and our technology continues to skyrocket the way that it is, right? What are we as humans going to be able to do in a million years? Right?
Right.
So if there's another species that is out there that is 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 1 billion years ahead of us, hasn't blown themselves up, like anything that they are able to create that is like a cell phone for us, it's kind of normal now. Like they're going to be like, that's just going to be normal to them. And it's just technology.
Right.
It looks like magic though, right?
Yeah.
Then going back to the Ezekiel wheel, if you look at some of those orbs, they do look like there's an Ezekiel wheel in them.
Yeah, that's what I've
Which is
heard.
super weird.
Yeah.
And then you have Tucker talking about like they're angels and demons. Then you have JD Vance saying, "I don't believe that they're aliens. I believe that they're demonic or they're aliens." Or so like that concept is new. I think that there's so much stuff that's going on. It's kind of like the Bigfoot that you just said. Like, how is that connected to UFOs? How is and somehow it all seems to be correlating and coming together all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not like we're just seeing UFOs or we're just seeing this and we have a single thing to tie together. It seems like there's a lot of different stuff all coming in together at the exact same time. And, you have the people that strongly just believe in UFOs, and then you have the other people. This is like Anna Paulina Luna. No, this is aliens and demons and interdimensional creatures. And I think there's a multitude of different things going on, right?
Yeah.
You too.
No, we've talked about that too, because I mean, I don't know where you stand kind of on like leaving the earth or if there's a firmament over the dome that we can't leave. So we've talked about like, well, if there's truly like that firmament over the dome, right, over the earth, there's so many stories about UFOs coming out of water, out of the oceans, out of deep bodies of water. So it's like, what if everything is really just here, like either hidden or like you were saying, interdimensional, like they come in and out through like portals or just interdimensionally, but they're not actually physically coming down through like the sky, like movies kind of say.
Like from another planet or galaxy kind of thing. And I mean, it makes sense because NASA was actually exploring the ocean and something happened and they pulled out and they said, we're going to look in space now. So that's really interesting. So I think there's a lot. Yeah. I think there's a lot. I mean, there's obviously so much mystery to the depths of the ocean. We've only explored a very small fraction
like
of it.
3% or something.
Yeah, like I think it's like 5% or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, like people have witnessed UFOs coming out of water. I mean, even Christopher Columbus documents seeing orbs out in the ocean. So a lot of weird stuff happens out there.
If you were going to hide, what a better place,
right?
If you have the ability where compression and all this other thing is not going to mess with you, like you're going to a place that nobody can get to. Atomic bombs, crazy warfare, none of that would affect you either, right?
That's a good point.
Apparently, Tim Burchett talks about 7 bases, like high activity bases around the ocean that they're consistently finding like USO activity, which is super weird, but it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like the Catalina Islands are one of them. I know that for a fact.
Oh,
I need to hear this because I grew up right across from there. on the California coast.
So Catalina Islands is a major USO hotspot.
Wow.
Major. And so there is a ton of activity that is out there. There was George Knapp who was the guy that covered Bob Lazar? You guys know Bob Lazar, right?
I don't know.
It sounds familiar, but that's not ringing a bell.
Okay. I will go into this after. But so George Knapp is a investigative journalist that covered Bob Lazar and has been on the UFO topic for like 30 years now, right? And he and his crew went out there and documented some really weird stuff in the Catalina Islands, and it's all on film.
Oh, neat.
And he recently did like a Netflix documentary. I don't remember what it was called, but this guy has been like tied into the UFO sphere for a very long time. And like just bumping on Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar was the guy either in the 80s or 90s that came out and talked about him working at Area 51. So he was reverse engineering spacecraft that we had that had crash landed, or there's I guess two different types. There's crash landed or has been shot down, and then the other side of it is they call it donations. These are perfectly intact ships that were given to us. And they were given to us so we could apparently reverse engineer them and start working. And apparently that's how LED lights and fiber optics and all these other things came from it. So anyway, so Bob Lazar was working there. Nobody knew about Area 51. And then he brought friends into the desert to show them when the UFOs were going out and they were doing test flights. And he got caught after like 50 times that he was bringing people out there. And he got scared for his life. And so he went to the news station and he came out, and it's a huge thing. But I don't want to keep going.
No, we've got to look into this guy.
Cool.
That's
I know.
fascinating. Okay, so I know both our wheels are probably turning right now. When you said about like LED and fiber optics coming from reverse engineering this alien tech, again, that like brings me back to when we were talking about Genesis 6. You know, when the 200 watchers, the angels that were sent down from heaven, they taught humans technology back then. So you think about that, like we're getting all this probably information to make these things through other entities. And, you know, going back to, is it just interdimensional? Is it just demonic? Is it, you know, is it really like a species of another creature? We kind of think it's both, because I would think that the demonic world, they really are doing truly like true real genetic experiments with real DNA, with people, with other creatures, and they maybe created these, you know, the small grays, the tall grays, the insectoids, like they've might like in labs, that's where these all came from. Right? So I feel like it's kind of both. It's demonic in nature at its core, but I think there are real physical entities. So that's how my mind sees it. It's a theory. Right.
I think it's a good theory.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, I think there's a lot of weird stuff that's going on.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, and my mind kind of went to like the LED lights, which is so funny because I remember when those came out, and when we built our house, they were like, for $5,000, we'll install all LED in your house, like the light bulbs. And it's funny because I feel like we're going backwards now. I'm trying to find like the incandescent light bulbs. I'm trying to find the light bulbs that aren't going to mess with like my hormones and my like, you know, I don't know if you've gone down that like rabbit hole yet of just like how LED lights, fluorescent lights, they're just actually not great for your health because they flicker. So it's just interesting, like what we're being given isn't necessarily like for overall health benefits or like for the greater good of like humankind. So that's kind of interesting too. Like, well, you're giving us information, again, tying it back to the Watchers of like, they were given like useless information, I think is what they said to like the wives that they married, right? So I don't know. It just, does that all tie together?
Wild. I mean, yeah, it does tie together.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like that's been the only consistent thread that we find that like just ties everything together. Like everything can kind of just be tied back to that in some sort of a way, it feels like. So
Well, it explains a lot of what we're seeing, I think, happening too, like the agendas that are obviously at play, that obviously don't have the best interest for us in mind. So it just makes sense that like it's the same thing that's been going on since the beginning of time. We're just now seeing it more. You know, the stuff has never stopped. I think it's just getting ramped up and also just put in our faces. Like the White House disclosing the alien stuff. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like it's them just trying to control the narrative.
I think there's just too much, because of this, there's too much stuff that's coming out that the pressure is cracking. You can't hide it for so long. At the same time, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I do 1000%. I believe that it's all about narrative control.
Same. Yep.
1000%. But I think that there's other things. I think at some point you're just not going to be able to hide, you know, what's out there.
Right. Yeah.
But they do a very good job of like, hey, the sky is blue, and they convince like, you know, 60% of the population the sky is, you know, red, and somehow people go along with it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
They're very good at brainwashing people.
Yeah, they are.
So true.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about, have you heard about how Reagan, when he was in office, I don't know if you heard the story, he was out golfing and he gets a call. I think it was from Area 51. Is that correct?
I don't remember which area it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the military bases.
But that sounds right. Yeah.
And he ends up being taken there, and it was an alien that I don't know how they got him there or why he was there, but they ended up
his pager.
Yeah, his paged him down. And Reagan and this alien made an agreement that they would give up all this tech in exchange for being able to abduct people and do experiments on them. And that's when the abduction rates, I guess, started skyrocketing, which is a crazy story. You have heard that. And I haven't really dug too much into it, but it's just popped up in my mind. I was like, that is such an interesting story. I mean, if it's true, I mean...
Well, I mean...
I don't know.
I mean, how much other things does the U.S. government actually give up to be able to... Like, look at what they do to us.
Oh yeah.
Right? So if they were going to get high tech, yeah, like MK Ultra is the perfect example of what they're willing to do
Yes.
to get what they want or figure out how to control people without giving you care. You know, I always said pre-COVID, I used to think that the government was just too big and bloated, and you know, there was a lot of incompetence, but I never thought that they were malicious. And after COVID, I'm like, nope, they're malicious. There is no protection. They're like, they really don't care.
They've really revealed themselves.
I mean, we like to. I know everyone makes this. Everyone makes this joke. We like to say, like, if 2020 didn't wake you up, like, we cannot help you. Like, I don't know what else to show you, tell you, do for you, because you know, that was just so on our face.
And also just like going back to the different types of aliens, I did see something and someone was talking about how like the Nordics are only a few hundred years ahead of us, whereas like the Greys are like thousands and thousands of years ahead of us technologically. So like it's interesting that different species, I don't know what else, I don't know, classifications of aliens. It's interesting that they have different, like, they're in different places technologically as well.
Yeah.
Like somewhere on that
spectrum. They figured out
spectrum.
not to blow themselves up.
Right.
Yeah. Right. True. Well, you know what's interesting?
We seem to be on the cusp.
Yeah, we do.
For real. You know what's interesting too? I've heard a lot of testimonials of people encountering UFOs and the UFOs saving them. Have you heard stories like that too? Like some of them could be kind to humanity, while there's other ones that will, you know, abduct you and do experiments on you. Yeah. So kind of almost like the human race, where there's good and there's bad. But there was one story in particular I remember. It was a pilot, and something was going wrong with his mechanics, and he ends up hearing a voice, like telepathically, from his window outside, and he looks over and there's a UFO flying by him. Anyways, long story short, he ends up getting to where he needed to be safely, but he ended up changing his whole life, actually went into ministry. But you think about, like, could some of these UFOs be
Good.
are UFOs, but yeah, who's driving the good ones? Is it like an angelic being driving? Do they use UFOs? Because you've heard of that theory?
No, that's a good
that aliens use like a flying apparatus to get around, just like an alien would. Like they all, like the good and the bad, both are using technology.
Sense. That would make sense.
I don't know. It kind of makes sense. Like the chariot, the fire that they talk about too, and it's like they didn't. Maybe that was just their way of describing something with lights flying through the air.
Maybe.
Not like an actual chariot with a horse. I don't know. That's how my mind works.
I mean, that would make sense, though.
I mean, yeah, because like, why would the quote unquote bad, the evil ones, be the only ones with all this technology and not the quote unquote good guys? You know. So, just a thought.
For sure.
Just a thought.
It is a lot. It is a lot. Yes, I've heard multiple stories about healing, taking tons of reproduction issues, tons of, and what's really weird is it's like the people that have had these experiences, a lot of them start off with thinking that it's kind of a sinister thing, and then as it's happening to them their entire life, like they look at it as a very good thing. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a comfort thing or they just but again, like imagine that being you when you actually get it. Wouldn't that the first time that happens, you just freak out? Right?
Oh, for sure.
Not know what's going on, not being in control. But yeah.
What is it called? The Stockholm
syndrome?
Yes. Is that yes. Do you think that's what it is? It's like they're coping, but like they're like abductors or like they're like savior kind of a thing. Like
I don't know. So there's a story about Travis Walton, which happened in Arizona, and I think it was back in the 70s. And so him and his like 5 other guys, they're all loggers. They're up in like Strawberry, Arizona, something like that. And all of a sudden, as they're wrapping up their day, and these are all guys in their 20s, they're all muscular, they're all, in shape and blah, blah, blah. And they see something land. And one of the guys of the 5 gets out of the car and he gets close to the craft and he gets hit by a beam and it throws him back like 30 feet. And all of the other guys think that he's dead. And so they run and get in their truck and drive away and they go to town. And they're watching him get abducted. They made a movie about this called Fire in the Sky. And anyways, he disappeared for 5 days. He was with them for 5 days. And he was found, I don't know how far away, but he was found far away. And the police investigated. They thought that they killed Travis. They put each one of the guys through 2 or 3 different lie detector tests. They were all saying the exact same thing. And then 4 or 5 days later, he appears. And he's been telling the story for like 40 years now. The same exact story. And he talks about, like, part of the abduction was, like, he thought he was dying after getting hit by this beam. And he's like, they fixed me.
Oh, wow. That is crazy. Does he describe them as grays? Does he?
He said that there were, he did say that they were grays. And then he also said that he saw like a Nordic. And the Nordic was wearing like a fishbowl as like a helmet. Super weird.
Wow.
And they had the worst haircuts in the entire. They were like blonde with like the, like the bowl haircut.
No.
The bowl cut back from the 90s.
Like, he's done a bunch of podcasts, and it's really interesting listening to it. And again, 40 years of the same exact story.
Wow.
The guy's in his mid-70s now.
Oh, I believe him. I mean, it's social suicide to come out and say, I was abducted and I spent 5 days and there was a guy with a fishbowl on his head. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, we're definitely inclined to believe people with their stories. I'm sure there's people making things up. But for the most part, they're genuine, sincere human beings going through an experience, And it's like not only did they have to cope with the trauma of going through it, then they have to cope with the emotional trauma of people not believing them, ostracizing them. Like, that's a very sad reality for them.
Mm-hmm.
Telling the same story their entire life.
Yeah, telling the same story. And what's so interesting as well, and just gives more validity to all of this, is how multiple abductees are telling the exact same story. They've never been in contact with one another, living in different regions, happening to them at different times, and they're explaining the same thing. you know? So it's like, okay, no, people aren't making this up. That's for sure.
Super weird.
Yeah, it is. And it seems that the Greys are almost like the surgeons. It's always the Greys doing the experiments. Like they're the ones, doing all the work, being overseen maybe by the Nordics. And
what I've heard is that the small Greys, they kind of seem like they're robots or robots.
Yes.
And then the tall ones seem like they're the actual entities. Like, you know, like living, breathing creatures.
Like a mini-me, Dr. Evil.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
That's funny. Can you do the Star Trek one? Can you guys do that?
I can do it with one hand.
I can. You can.
Oh,
Show it.
This one's a little weak.
I can't even. Not even close.
I cannot get my fingers like that.
You just got to practice.
Like tape them together. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So robotic, and then the taller ones are more of like the actual. Okay.
And then
Interesting.
The mantis ones, though, too.
The whole thing is super weird.
I was going to say the mantis ones. I heard that they're the ones that are like the anesthesia workers. They're there sometimes like calming people. I don't know.
We know what's interesting, though? They never feel pain, abductees.
Mm-hmm.
They say that like when they're getting cut open, they don't feel pain. They're scared, they're cold, but they say they don't feel pain. That's kind of like, I don't know. You would think if they were truly, truly evil, they would make you feel it. I don't know. Maybe that's just to keep you calm. I have no idea, but that thought just crossed my mind. I was like, that's interesting that they want to keep you in a state of comfort, you know?
Or semi-comfort.
I guess. I mean, mentally, you're probably like wigging out, but not feel it.
If you can't move, but your brain is still like processing everything.
Well, and the one we were watching last night was talking about how they make you look into their eyes as they're doing things. Like they were like, I couldn't close my eyes. I couldn't look away. So that part would be really weird and awkward. I was telling Corey, I was like, I have a hard time just like staring into people's eyes for like long, for long stretches of time. It's just like an uncomfortable thing, but you do it, right? Like you just get used to doing it, but it's like to have to stare into the eyes of like, basically like they're doing things to against your will. So there's that also.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying they're good, but I just find it interesting that they do want to turn off your pain receptors. Like that's kind of nice.
I don't think that they're not good.
Okay. Do you think that they think what they're doing is right?
There's been enough stuff when it comes to nuclear sites where they have controlled things and essentially showed that we are actually not in charge, right? They could turn off nuclear silos. There's been multiple videos about like a ICBM going into the sky, what you would think would be like your regular saucer would fly around, shoot up to the ICBM that's flying into the sky. It would be following it. It would shoot a beam at the warhead, then it would fly, and this is while this rocket is going who knows how fast. It shoots up next to it, shoots a beam at it, flies around the top of it while it's still moving forward, shoots another beam at it, flies to the other side, shoots another beam out of it, and then the ICBM tumbles and goes out, right? So, like, there's been so many things about them trying to prevent nuclear war and trying to... So, I don't know. I think... And there's been other things where, like, they've exposed themselves to large amounts of people. Like, there was an elementary school in Australia, I believe, and it's called the Ariel School, and a UFO ship landed, beings came out of it. It was nothing but like 50 to 100 elementary school students, and the beings, they're 25, 50 feet away from these beings, and the beings are, they would be what we would think of as grays. I don't know if they were small grays or tall grays, but they are communicating telepathically with all the children. You need to protect the planet. You need to do this. You need to do that. All about like us getting control of what is going on that we are out of control with, right? And then just getting back into the ship. And those kids have been telling the same story for 40 years.
Wow.
Like that happened in the 80s.
Wow.
Crazy story. Super well documented. And then Men in Black showed up and told everybody, do not say anything and blah, blah, blah. And, there were a couple of teachers that saw it. They didn't come out for who knows how long saying, because of, again, threats. And I don't know. There's just a lot of really weird stuff that's going on.
I've never heard that.
Part of it is protecting us. And I think part of it is when it comes to like the reproduction thing, I've heard, and again, who knows if it's true or not, but I've heard that that they are creating hybrids because something happened to their planet, right? And that there are hybrids that are walking around right now, and we can't tell the difference. But it had to go through like a metamorphosis program where essentially the first ones that this was being done to, they didn't look anything. They couldn't blend in with society. But after how many generations of doing this, do you have a hybrid that actually looks kind of like a person, but it's not, right? Kind of like in Disclosure Day, if you saw that movie.
I want to.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
It was okay.
If you're tied into the UFO topic, it's good because it ties a lot of different things together. If you're not into the UFO topic and you're just looking for an alien and action movie, you're going to walk out of it going, that sucked.
Gotcha.
But if you're a UFO alien buff, like it ties a lot of things into it together.
So there's probably a lot of truth to the movie.
I would think so. I mean, that's what Spielberg said. I mean,
I heard him say that.
Close Encounters and E.T. and this and this. But then the guy also dropped, War of the Worlds, which is, like an action, I'm going to kill all of you human.
True. Yeah, that's a good movie. I forgot about War of the Worlds. That's Tom Cruise, isn't it? Yeah, Tom Cruise. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah, so I've heard certain theories like that where like the aliens are... Okay, so the best way that they explained it was like there's heaven, there's hell, and then these aliens, kind of going back to like the fallen watchers or whatever, they're trying to find a loophole essentially to not face the punishment for disobeying and leaving and coming down to Earth and having children with women. And so the loophole is like, okay, well, if we can transfer consciousness from like, into like basically like a human clone or some sort of a thing, because they talk about like on these ships, they see tons of like just tanks full of like clones. And so like, I was like, well, what if they're trying to somehow transfer their spirit or consciousness into that body to kind of essentially escape that judgment, because they're like, well, I'm in a human bodysuit or whatever you want to call it.
Meat suit?
Yeah, a meat suit. A flesh suit.
I actually saw a video. Well, sorry, I want to hear what he has to say on that. But I saw a video recently of a guy. He was sitting in a parking lot outside of like a 7-Eleven, and he filmed this two men walk out of the convenience store. And the one guy was super tall and lanky, and he had the longest neck, the longest torso, really bizarre hips, and long-limbed arms, and he would look like he had no joints. He was just like he was
Gumby?
all like, he was very, like Gumby. He was just like very floppy walking through the parking lot. And I'm like, and the guy was like, that is not a human. And I'm thinking, no crap. Like that is definitely something.
He was
like
super tall too.
Really tall, very odd proportions, but like could pass as a human, but like you look at it and you're like, there's something so off. So maybe, I don't know, he could be a
disconjointed maybe or something.
Yeah. So maybe he came out of a, UFO lab. Maybe he's just a weird clone.
They're like, let's go test this one out, see if it blends in.
See if it blends in. Yeah. I'll send it to you. I'll find it and send it to you. It's really weird. It's very strange. And the guy next to him, just a normal looking dude. I don't know if it was his handler or what, but it's just bizarre. Yeah. So I think I think there could be the hybrid people walking around us.
Do they even know that they're hybrid though? That's the other thing. It's like, do you even know?
I feel like you would.
You think you would know? You would know you're a hybrid?
I think so.
Okay.
I think Hollywood's full of them.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
And they have those, have you seen all those compilations of newscasters, politicians, celebrities, professional athletes, where they're on live television, and their eyes will change all of a sudden. It's like they have a normal human eye, and then for a split second, the camera catches, it turns into what looks like a reptilian eye.
Yeah.
Like that stuff, you know?
Or the like one lady that had the fly come out of her eye and she like ate it. Did you see that? She was like a news reporter.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a fly that fell out of her eye and into her mouth, and she like ate
she kept
it.
talking. She kept talking through it. We're like, that reminds me of Men in Black, the movie.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have seen the eye thing. I don't know. There's so much weird stuff that's going on.
I know. Oh yeah.
But I have seen the eye thing, and that's super weird. And yet, you know, with AI today, like it's so hard to tell.
It's so annoying.
What's real, but it's getting so good.
It's getting so good. Yeah, I mean, we're not quick to repost or make a reel on something because of this reason. You know, because there's a lot of that in the conspiracy world. A lot of influencers, it's like, you know, they want to be the first. They want to have the clickbait. They want to get the views, which we understand. But then you realize a couple days later, oh, this was all AI. You know, and I think people need to be really careful about spreading misinformation. And you lose your credibility. And it's just muddying the waters. And we're trying to actually create clarity, hopefully, for people. However, the more we dig, the more questions we end up having. So I feel like we're not really getting any answers. But, you know, that's the goal. Yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The whole thing is so weird.
I know. I just love that you are into the whole UFO and alien conspiracy. I just think it's fascinating.
I'm into all the weird stuff, you know?
What else?
Like, if I'm not working, it's like UFOs, DMT.
Yeah, the DMT. I just listened to a Joe Rogan podcast. Actually, this morning I was getting ready, just a little bit of it. And it was a guy that came on, and he was on DMT through an IV for 5.5 hours.
Yeah, Chase.
Yeah, I think that was his name. Yeah.
Yeah. He's been on a bunch of podcasts. He talked about being in the DMT realm through IV for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
He felt like he was there for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wild.
And his wife had like going into the DMT realm. His wife had like sent a blessing for him, for the entities to help his heart and his brain. And like when he was in there, he said that the first thing that they did was the entities like laid him down, cut open his chest, and were like massaging his heart and like did something to his brain. And he's like, it wasn't painful, it wasn't this. And then he came out of it like super euphoric. And he told his wife all this, and then she said, well, I prayed that they would help your heart and your brain or something.
Yeah. No, you're right on. You're spot on. That's exactly what I heard. Yeah.
What is that movie where they are like hooked up to an IV and they're in like a world? They go into like a world.
Avatar?
No.
Oh.
And there's a top. They have a top. I just remember there's a top and it doesn't ever stop spinning. That's how they tell if they're in the real world or in their like in their mind. Gosh, what is
it? Does sound familiar with the top.
Yes,
I don't remember.
I can't remember what it is, but that's what it reminds me of because they hook them up to like IVs. And they're basically, they go to sleep. They're like kind of in a lucid dream state, but they're
with Leonardo DiCaprio,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Is it Inception?
Inception.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. I was like, it's an older movie, so
very good. Yeah, I mean, you know, movies are dramatized reality, so they show us what's going on, and so yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, and I kind of want to get your take too on like the holographic, like how I've heard they use holographics to kind of conceal themselves, like, you know, with their eyes changing and glitching.
Reptilian,
it's like
specifically.
Yes, it's kind of like the holographic tech that they have. I don't know a lot about it. Do you know much about that? Okay.
All I know is a lot of people talk about Project Bluebeam. That is how that they're going to create a fake alien invasion, like as another way of, you know,
controlling us.
Obviously, everybody sees that, you know, nobody believes the whole COVID thing anymore, right?
Right.
The WHO just tried running COVID again, 2.0. They tried a couple of times.
The hantavirus? The hantavirus?
Yes.
That hantavirus. And everybody was like, yeah, we're not playing this game anymore. And it went
away.
Right?
Goodbye.
We basically bullied the government into shutting up about it.
Exactly. Like, as long as nobody complies, they can't do it.
That's what I was trying to tell people 6 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. Just don't comply.
Exactly.
No one's locking you in your house. No one's, closing down your business. You're literally doing it yourself.
You're putting yourself in prison.
You're putting yourself in prison. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, so I've heard that the whole Project Bluebeam, like that is another way for them to create a panic scenario, right?
100%.
Where, they're going to show this invasion. And again, but it's like, okay, that's what I don't understand if we're going down that road is like, you can only control the narrative of that for so long.
Yeah.
Right.
So how long within COVID did it take after people were freaked out to then be sitting in their house going, I detect BS.
Yeah.
I detect BS. And then that goes out there. So if you run a Project Bluebeam scenario, how long can you actually run that PSYOP?
Good idea.
Before,
Or good thought.
like, your power over the people runs out, right? It's not like it's a movie and it's like, oh, this is like there's a finite amount of time before people's BS meters are going off, right?
Yeah.
Unless like you legit use Project Bluebeam to create these fake aliens and then they legit use their own like bombs on us.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Who knows if they would do that?
Of course they would. They spray us like bugs.
They do.
I mean, yeah, I guess based off of COVID, they have about 4 years.
They say, right, 2030. I was in Mexico this past weekend for my wife's 43rd birthday and our 17-year anniversary. And while we were there, and it was just Rocky Point,
Oh,
just
nice.
the other side of the border, I did not see any cloud seeding at all. None. Which is so weird. Because I come back to Arizona and I remember I've been here for 20 years coming from New York. And when I first got here, I remember going, oh my God, it's amazing. There's like no clouds in the sky in Arizona. And now it's just these fake artificial clouds all the time.
All the time.
It's gotten worse too, like within the last, I would say, I don't know how many years, but when we lived there, it wasn't quite as bad as what it is now. And speaking of Rocky Point, it's funny because during COVID in Rocky Point, I think the distance that you had to be apart from someone was like 5 feet instead of 6 feet. So
It's science, Kelly. Don't ask questions.
I just
Pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you crawled to your table at a restaurant, you were fine because you're at seated height. But as soon as you stand, oh no, watch out.
it's kind of like smoke, when
Yeah.
it's smoky, you
Yeah,
get on
get
the
down
ground
on
and
the ground.
crawl.
Speaking of smoke, we're covered in smoke today here in Idaho. I think there's some sort of wildfire in Oregon, but we haven't had a good day in a few days now. No blue sky. Ugh, at least it's not chemtrails, but it's smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's no fun.
No fun. You guys probably don't deal with that too much down in Arizona. There's not.
Up in the mountains?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you do have mountains with the woods.
Right. Which is, 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Sedona was just on fire.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Smart city
originally,
coming.
before we went
Yeah.
to Rocky Point, we were looking into going to Sedona for a couple of days. We like going up there. And I saw on the news that there was a pretty bad fire, and I'm like, all right, change it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because you can't be outside and enjoy it when it's smoky. So, and I don't blame you. Well, Sedona, that's interesting because that place is really known for some paranormal activity and vortexes. And have you heard all that? Yeah, like how trees will grow there, spiraled because of the vortex, the energy. A lot of just new agey spiritual people go out there and do all sorts of
Total new age. I haven't heard anything about the trees. I've done a vortex tour twice.
Oh, okay.
I did not, and this is 20 years ago. I did one with my mom. I did one. I took my wife to do one because I thought it was interesting. Didn't feel anything, right? Didn't feel the energy. Maybe I wasn't at that age where I was like, like ready to kind of like get into a real meditative state, which is probably how. But there's a ton of weird UFO stuff out here, and apparently, and again, this is the government coming up with some, very good names to hide what they're doing. But apparently there's secret military bases and UFOs that are being held in hangars and being flown out. And the bases, there's a real mountain, and all this happens there. It's called Secret Mountain.
Oh, wow. That's not conspicuous at all.
Not at all. But apparently, if you go on a
Sounds like something
tour,
in Disneyland. I was gonna say,
but apparently, if you go on a tour and you start exploring and you cross like a certain boundary, all these guys with like AR-15s and military items and like full camo and this, they will like pop out and like tell you to get out.
Oh
no
my
way. I've never heard of Secret Mountain.
I haven't either. It's because it's secret.
Because it's secretive. The secret's out.
So the other really weird thing is if you go there with a drone, right? You can pretty much fly a drone everywhere except for military bases and airports, right?
And
Sure.
the devil's
So
thumb.
like you go and you're trying to fly a drone to Secret Mountain, it will hit a certain boundary and the GPS will show up on the screen, military base or airport, and the drone will return home.
Wow.
Whoa. That's wild.
That is wild.
There's nothing out there.
Right.
Supposedly.
Right. Supposedly.
That's kind of like that story you were telling me about. Was it in like Washington or like, was it kind of up towards Canada about the guy that was like walking and like telepathically came across?
Oh
like,
yeah. I just recently watched this. I think he was up in Canada. It was like the Pacific Northwest, Canada border, I think, somewhere around there. And he was visiting a buddy who had some property out in the woods. And his friend went into town to get some groceries, and he was just at the house alone. And it was during the day. And he's like, I want to go out for a walk. So he's walking the property through the tree lines and on this path. And all of a sudden, he comes across this man, very tall, white skin, white blonde hair, and like a black cloak,
blue
eyes. And the being spoke to him telepathically, used his name, and I don't remember what he said. And it wasn't very significant, but it like said hi. I think it said like hello, whatever his name was. And then it just walked off and just vanished. And
Didn't it tell him to like turn around too?
Oh, yeah,
or
it did.
something?
Thank you.
Yeah,
It told him to turn around and not continue going further. So he did. He was like, okay. So he turned around, went back. He ends up telling his buddy, he's like, hey, right into this, like, I had this experience. I ran into this person and it spoke to me, and his friend stopped him. He's like, oh, you're talking about the tall blonde people out in the woods with black cloaks? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, oh yeah, they come and go. Like they'll come and do something. I don't know what they're doing out in the woods, but there's a bunch of them. They'll gather out there for days on end, and then they'll just leave and then come back sometime later. So
I have heard that. I just don't know all the details, but I've heard that there's a group of them and everybody in town or all the locals know about them.
yes. Okay.
Super weird.
That is so weird.
weird.
I mean, I don't know how I'd feel if I knew that was happening in my backyard. You know, I don't know.
Well, and the crazy thing too is like the woods, you only get to explore about 5% of all of our national forests. Everything else is either like government, like you can't go in it, it's protected. So our oceans, our forests, it's like 5%, I think, both of them.
regularly
Right around
explored.
that number is all we've gotten to really explore. Is that crazy?
There's some weird, well, you brought up like the forest. I don't know if I would consider this forest, but it's definitely national parks. So apparently there's a huge area in the Grand Canyon that is completely blocked off that you cannot go explore.
Mhm.
And apparently, again, I don't know, but I've heard that there is a pyramid in there, there is a sphinx in there, and that there is like all this Egyptian hieroglyphs and everything else that are all in there. And it's like a duplicate of what we see in Egypt.
Yeah. So
Super weird.
I mean, I think all of our history of North America, American history, we've been taught has been a complete lie. I think there was ancient civilizations on this land long before we came along. But G.E. Kincaid, I think, is the name of the explorer that found the caves with all the hieroglyphs and the Egyptian artifacts. I think he even found treasure. I think there was gold and gems and things like that within there. But yeah, we were actually making this joke recently. They tell you you can't go to those areas for your safety, but yet they'll put you on a donkey on a 5-foot cliff and take you down the Grand Canyon, cliffside. It's like, makes no sense. But yeah, there is a Sphinx. You could look it up online. It shows it. I mean, it's, a little dilapidated because it's old, but it's there. You can see the structure of the Sphinx and the pyramid right in front of it. So, yeah, I mean, something catastrophic. I think Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, all that desert area, I think it could have been something very different before with lakes, greenery, very different topography, and something catastrophic happened. The Grand Canyon looks like something happened. like a big earthquake split it, or giant lightning bolt came and, created this. Because if you look at the Grand Canyon from above, it looks like when lightning hits the ground, it creates that same pattern. Because the way it like just fans out. And water, and they say if it's created by water, water would never do that. Water just, it'll take the path of least resistance. So the way the Grand Canyon is laid out, according to people that study this, say like actually water cannot create this over time. Something else happened here. So could have been, like an ancient civilization, obviously influenced by Egyptian, or maybe they were Egyptians. I don't know. But it's just very interesting. I find that the American history, there seems to be a lot of holes in it once you start digging into it and looking at our old buildings, things like that. The timelines don't line up as far as when they tell us things were built and how fast they were built. It seems to me that we just took over an older civilization, the remains of, and something had happened, like a reset. Have you heard of like a reset? The Great Reset?
Yeah, like the Younger Dryas period, where the essentially it goes back to the Bible, the Great Flood. The Great Flood. Every civilization, every different religion talks about a great flood, right? And none of these religions or people ever talk to each other.
Right.
And it all happened right around the same time. Exactly. There's salt in the pyramid in Egypt. They have found salt inside of the pyramid, which is super weird. If they look at like the what is it called? Like the wear and tear of the rocks.
Frozen?
They put that to a certain time period. They think that water was flooding the area. All of these large tunnels that they found inside of the Great Pyramid, apparently they're all covered and flooded with like sand and this and this. And, it takes a lot to like get all that stuff out. And I don't know. The whole thing is super weird. I'm very interested in that topic and all the different things. I've obviously spent a lot more time just kind of going down the UFO, but I think the pyramids are tied into that as well.
Exactly.
I think that was all done by an ancient civilization that had different technology. Either it was us, and then we have a breakaway civilization that had the technology, that saw a cataclysm coming and went into the stars or whatever they ended up doing, went undersea, or like there was an alien civilization that was here, and then they were visiting, right? Because I've heard that the same type of pyramids and same type of Sphinx and all that is also on Mars.
Really?
I don't know.
Huh.
There's so much that we don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. What makes you think of the Anunnaki? Isn't that the ones with the elongated skulls?
Yeah.
Okay, so have you heard of the Anunnaki?
Yeah.
The race? So yeah, I mean what they say is that they were a highly technologically advanced civilization, and they were working alongside humans. And a lot of these pyramids and things were built with them. And there's skulls they have found today. They are in museums. I think Smithsonian has most of them. But they have the elongated skulls. Their eye sockets are bigger than normal human. They have other things that are just different. We have 3 cranial plates. I think they only have 2. So they're not human. But I think they obviously inhabited our land because we have remnants of them. And I think they could have been the ones that were, doing, like you said, like we were cohabitating and doing things together. And then maybe they just left because of a catastrophe, like they knew was coming, and then left us here. I don't know.
Maybe or even went deep into the earth. I've heard stories of like deep middle earth. Is that what it's called? Where like supposedly people are like, there's tons of like reptilian races living down in there.
Oh, yeah.
And every other race of alien is in like deep in the earth.
Well, have you heard of they find hives, reptilian hives, when they're down there drilling? There was a story where they were drilling, I think it's in North America here, they were drilling a tunnel, and they ended up coming across a hive of reptilians. They ended up pulling out. Yeah.
Did they want to come out, or were they like...
Well, did the reptilians want to come out? No, that's where they live, but they came upon them under the ground. Isn't that weird? That's like an official story, too. That's not just some random hearsay fluff. Like, it's like a story with witnesses and people that experience this.
I mean, it's weird, like, again, who knows what's real and what's not real. And but I recently read an article that they found an ocean in the middle of the earth, like below the mantle or something, and the ocean is bigger than all of our oceans combined.
Wow.
But somehow it's like I don't understand.
Wow.
I don't understand how something like that could happen. But apparently they found an ocean like somewhere in the middle of the earth.
Yeah. That's
What
interesting.
is that, right? Center of the earth type?
Correct, right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting? I mean, it's keep going back to Genesis because it really does tie us all in. In the beginning, it says that the Spirit of God was hovering over the deep, the waters. So everything was water before dry land came up. So how deep does it go? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that would actually make sense. And then there's the explorer, undersea explorer that found an ocean within our ocean. I don't know if you ever saw that, but he's in this little submarine, and it was on Discovery Channel or History Channel. And he comes upon basically like another mass of water with a shoreline within the coral bed, and it was denser than the ocean. So he tried to submerge his submarine into it, and it bounced off of it, and he couldn't go inside of it. So he's like, it was like literally like an ocean within our ocean. So I'm wondering if the one that you're talking about, the real deep one, I wonder if it's like that, like more. Maybe it's because it's higher concentration of salt, because that will make it harder to penetrate things like that. But I don't know. That just made me think of that story, and I think what I heard was he wanted to go back down there and explore and do experiments, and they told him no, like pulled all his funding and everything because they wanted to keep that hush hush. But it was on like mainstream television. I think it was History or Discovery. But so yeah. It's just there's so much mystery out there. I think, and I personally love it. I think it's, it makes life more interesting, and I love just talking and hearing about other people's perspectives are. Like, I feel like I learned so much about aliens already just sitting here with you. So, like, truly, I'm like, I got to watch this.
Expert.
I got to look up this guy. Yeah. No. Don't sell yourself short.
No, it's fun. I don't get to have these conversations a lot outside of my dad when we're just sharing podcast episodes, right? Did you see this?
Well, that's, I think, honestly, like, we fell in love with each other as friends, but we also really connected because we got to go out to coffee and we would talk about this stuff, like crazy stuff. I'm like, you're right. Like, who else are you going to talk to about these things? Yeah. Like, everyone wants to talk about sports and politics, Right. So, yeah, we love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on and joining us today. We had a great time. I hope you did.
I had a great time, too.
Okay, good.
Thank you for having me.
Maybe we'll have to have your dad come on with you next time and give us some of his stories.
That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Well, we're super excited to be repping the brand.
Yes.
We absolutely love what you stand for and love your product. And I just want to remind everyone where they can find you. That would be great.
They can go to masculinemanessentials.com. And then we have a 10% off coupon that we gave to your customers.
Right. Tinfoil Tan.
And we really appreciate the support. Super happy for you guys to be repping the brand and that your husbands and your kids love the product. And it means a lot to me. And thank you for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
It was a blast.
Yes.
Thank you, Elliot.
Looking forward to the women's line coming out. I was going to ask you, I was like, look into Le Labo, the fragrance line.
Yes.
Their smells are phenomenal.
Chef's kiss.
So good.
All right. Well, when I'm ready, I'll reach out. You'll have to remind me.
Okay.
You got it.
Yes.
All right. Well, have a good one.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Till
Bye.
next time.
Till next time.